Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Wes, the Suburban Viking. Of course, I got Dave here with me, and we are from Midgard Axe. And today I'm bringing something really cool, something that I've been looking forward to reviewing because I've yet to use one yet, which is the Husqvarna Hatchet. In this one here, I'm going to give you guys a brief description of who Husqvarna is, and then we'll get into the first impressions of this hatchet, and I'll give you some more information about the Husqvarna brand of axes and ones I've used and the experiences that I've had with them. And I will apologize ahead of time, guys. I got sick again. It won't go away. It just won't go away. So that's why I haven't put out a ton of videos in the past week. Still trying to get over it. I'm a little... So anyway, let's continue. In the late 1600s, the wars that raged across Europe resulted in an increase in Sweden's weapons production. Hydropower was required in the manufacturing process, so in 1689 a drilling works was established beside the waterfalls in Husqvarna, southern Sweden at the time, spelled Husqvarna, where many products are still produced today. As the need for weapons declined, the company saw an opportunity to branch out by applying the precision engineering skills achieved from producing weapons to a whole new set of other products ranging from sewing machines, hunting weapons, wood stove, mincing machines, bicycles, motorcycles, gas stoves, microwave ovens, and much more. The logo for Husqvarna in their axes and some of their other products is the front sight post of a rifle. Kind of interesting. From 1757 to 1850, this is when they became Husqvarna. The Swedish royalty transfers the company to a private owner and the name changes to Husqvarna Rifle Factory. And then by 1850, all production has moved to the Husqvarna location. And like before, guys, when I told you they branched out and did a bunch of different things like sewing machines and such, that started out between 1872 and 1912 when they broke new ground and their rifle contract ended with the Swedish crown. And if you're into motorcycles, you know that Husqvarna made motorcycles in the early 1900s. I'm a big motorcycle guy. I used to have a bunch of motorcycles. My favorite one that I had was an 84 Shovelhead. It's a pretty cool bike. In 1903, Husqvarna introduces motorcycles. Years later, in 1982, a Husqvarna motorbike MC258 wins the 250cc class of the legendary Paris-Dakar Rally. The motorcycle division was sold off in 1986 and is now part of Pierre AG in Austria. And then it talks about from 1918 to 1919 how they had started their lawnmower business and how they started making engines for the lawnmowers at that time. From 1947 to 1959, that's when Husqvarna started their motorized chainsaw business. Husqvarna introduced its first motorized lawnmower for commercial use then, and then the first homeowner model hit the market in 1959. It's a busy period for Husqvarna. In the same year, the first chainsaw is sold, known as the Husqvarna 90. The chainsaw is built by iconic Swedish designer Sixten Sasson. Sasson uses motorcycle muffler technology to achieve significantly lowered level noises than competitors. Pretty cool fact, guys, in 1967 is when Husqvarna made their last hunting rifle. It says on their website that the weapon is regarded as ahead of its time, inspiring civil weapons manufacturers worldwide. Modern hunting rifles still employ Husqvarna's innovative bolt construction, which is pretty cool. And then in 1989, taking the throne, Husqvarna introduces the 3120 XP, one of the world's biggest and most powerful chainsaws. It becomes an instant favorite among professional loggers. I will tell you guys, I've always gone into stores and I've seen the Husqvarna chainsaws. They look pretty decent. I do plan on getting one in the future. All I have right now are stills, but I am going to get a Husqvarna chainsaw in the future because I've heard a lot of good things about them, and I'm going to put it to the test and see how well it does. And of course, I'll tell you what I think about it. Now, getting into Husqvarna's axes, on their website, they have a bunch of different models. They have composite style axes, kind of like the Fiskars brand, like a polymer style handle with like a rubber overmold over top of it. Then they have splitting axes, carpentry axes, hatchets, and mauls, different hiking hatchet types like the Cutter. Now, most of their axes that they produce are made in Sweden. Now, their line started with Hults Bruk making their axe heads for them. Then it went to Wetterlings, and then when they went out of business, it went back to Hults Bruk. Now, if you go onto the website, you'll see that Husqvarna has Swedish axe heads, and it's stamped made in Sweden on there. but they also have German axe heads. And on the website, I've yet to have one in my hands, it says that they're marked Husqvarna, but on the head it doesn't say made in Sweden. They're made in Germany. Also, I'm going to throw something up on the screen now that I've been seeing that people have been talking about how some of the malls, the Husqvarna malls, have been coming in saying made in Italy. But it has the Husqvarna name on it. So I'm not really sure about that one. That's kind of speculation. I did do some research on their website and I couldn't find anything where it said that the malls are made in Italy. But people have produced pictures of tags where it says made in Italy on it. So, take that for what it is. Do your own research on that. But they are producing axes in other countries other than in Sweden. So getting into the Swedish Style hatchet that we're reviewing now, on the website has a very brief description. It says on there, a small axe for firewood, camping, and garden work. Comes with an edge cover in leather. The hatchet's head is attached to the handle using both a wooden and steel wedge to secure fastening. If you scroll down a little bit further, it gives you some product data. It says that the length is 19 inches, which I think is a typo because this hatchet is not 19 inches. It says the weight is 1.5 pounds and the axe head weight is 1.32 pounds. And that's pretty much all you get with this hatchet on their website. So let's get into the hatchet that I have. Let me give you some specs, some information on this axe, and I'll kind of go over it and tell you what I think about it and give you my first impressions, okay? First off, the leather sheath. Now, you guys know that I've done a lot of Husqvarna carpenter's axes, so I have a ton of these sheaths around. I will say they're not bad. They're not the best sheaths in the world, but they're pretty decent. The rivets on them are usually pretty good. I don't have a lot of separation here, and I will say that the snaps on them snap very nicely, and it does take a little force to open it, which is kind of cool. As you guys know, leather stretches over time, so these sheaths do come pretty nice. They are a little loose, but they're pretty decent. But I will tell you, as time goes, using it, getting it wet and everything, these leather sheaths will stretch out and then become even more loose. So I would probably later on get you a little better sheath, maybe with something that goes around the back of the pole, so that way you can fasten it, kind of like the Hults Bruk sheaths. Those are pretty decent. But of course, guys, what do we do with sheaths on this channel? We toss them. So let's get into overall specs. Length. 15 inches on the dot. I don't know where they're getting 19. I saw 13. This one's coming in at 15 inches. The head length from the pole to the bit is 5 3/4 inches. And the bit is coming in at 3.5 inches. All right, so let's weigh it on my scale and see what I get. And I got 2 pounds and 1.7 ounces on this thing. So it's a little bit heavier than they advertise. All right, guys, so let's take a look at this thing and I'll give you my first impressions on it. Let's start with the axe head. I will say the first thing that I noticed is that this thing has a pretty hefty pole in the back, okay? If you can see there, kind of like the Husqvarna carpenter's axe, that one does have a little bit of weight in the back. And then as it kind of tapers to the front here, it kind of looks like a universal type bit at the end, manufacturer's grind. It is kicked a little this way. The bit is. Not the actual forging, but the bit is kind of kicked. But it's even. The edge, it's okay. It's not the greatest in the world, but it's not dull either. You could use it like this. But you could definitely would need to shave these cheeks down because, man, these cheeks are super fat. Just like the Husqvarna carpenter's axe, guys, I always have to mess with the cheeks on that axe. And same thing on this one, guys. You would have to shave these cheeks down because I think they're just a little too thick for this hatchet, okay? I will say I do like how far they came down when they sat the head on this handle. Usually, in my experience, the Husqvarna carpenter's axes that I get are hafted a little bit too high, and I usually have to take them off and haft them a little bit farther down on the shoulder. So this one's not too bad. It's a lot better than the Husqvarna carpenter's axes that I get in all the time. So that's pretty decent. They do display it proudly on top of the axe head here, and it is splayed over nicely, as you can see there. It's got a pretty decent splay job. And of course, guys, they use a hardwood wedge to put into that handle there, and they do use a steel barrel wedge on top, just like the Husqvarna carpenter's axe. Now, getting into the handle, I will say that it's hafted nicely on the head. We do have a little bit of space right in here, And same on top, we have a little bit right there. But it's not bad. We got some curling going on down here too. But I think throwing some linseed oil in there will soak it up right in this area and kind of spread it out a little bit, but we'll see. The handle does have a little bit of grain run out, but guys, check it out. We do have vertical grain down there. It's a hatchet, but it's kind of nice to have vertical grain. I do like the lines of this handle. I think it looks really good. I will say, however, the only thing that I might change is the knob right in this area. I think it sticks up a little too far for axe throwing, so I might shave this down. I don't know, we'll see. But all in all, not bad. It is a little thick. I will tell you guys it is a tad thick, so I'll probably have to thin the handle down. But all in all, it seems like it's fit pretty well. It seems like it's going to be a pretty decent handle, and I will tell you guys, in my experience, the Hults Bruk handles and the Husqvarna handles are usually tanks. I have a really hard time breaking these handles, splitting these handles, cracking these handles when throwing. They just hold up really well. They really do. So I'm hoping this one does the same. Taking a look at how they hafted this head on the handle. Nice and straight. I don't see any kicks in the forging at all. It's in line with the handle. The forging looks really good. So they did a good job forging this head, and it's hafted nice and straight on the handle. Doing a little bit of a weight test, I'll show you guys. This thing is similar to the Husqvarna Carpenter's Axe. Even though you have a ton of steel back here in this pole, you would think that it would maybe be pole heavy or maybe have more of an evenly distributed weight. No. It's still bit heavy. Okay, even going up here, it's still bit heavy, which is really cool. So you do get a big fat pole on the back, but it's not going to cause wrist roll because all the weight's not in the pole. It's actually in the front of the bit, which is really cool. So you have a ton of weight up in this area right here, which should make for a really good true flyer in there. It shouldn't dance very much at all. And just kind of putting it in my hand, I will say that it does feel very heavy up here for how small this 15-inch hatchet is, but I will tell you that it feels like it's going to release out of the hand really good. And I'll just be honest with you, it feels like a miniature Husqvarna Carpenter's Axe, and I can throw that thing really well. So all in all, I think it's going to perform almost the same as that. Now, we might get a little bit of dancing when we go back to triple rotations when I throw it. However, I don't know because I've never thrown this before, but just kind of throwing it in my hands for the first time and kind of just giving it like, you know, a couple fake throws here. I will say that I think it's going to throw really good for single and double. I could be wrong about triple, but of course, guys, we're going to throw it and find out. As you guys know, I love the Husqvarna Carpenter's Axe. It's not the best axe in the world. It's really not. It takes a ton of work to get those things good, but it gives you a ton of steel to work with, and it's a good axe for people that want to get into modifying axes. But I will be honest with you about something. Even though I don't have any experience with any other Husqvarna axes, I will tell you that most of the Husqvarna Carpenter's axes that I've got, and I have not done anything to, and I just thrown the way they've come, they normally always come loose. Even the splay job that they put on them, and it looks really good, they normally come loose. I don't know what it is. If I had to guess, I'd say that, and I've told you guys this before, that when I haft my axes, I like bringing the head all the way down on the shoulder because I think it does help with seatment. And when you're throwing your axe all the time, you know, that head's moving around. It can cause issues when you haft it too high up on the handle. So I think that might be why, like I told you before, they usually have them kind of higher up on the handle and I have to bring them down. So keep that in mind, that just about every Husqvarna Carpenter's Axe that I've got and thrown from them without doing any modifications to has eventually come loose. Now, I don't know if this one's going to come loose. I'm just speculating with my experience with the Carpenter's Axe. I will tell you guys the price on this thing is anywhere between $60 and $80, and it fluctuates a lot. I've seen this thing going for almost $100 at some places. Amazon's got different prices. Other websites got different prices. So do your research and find a really good price for this thing and don't overpay for it. I will give you some information that I've used a company online before to order my Husqvarna Carpenter's Axes. Actually, I've ordered a bunch from them, which is Safford Equipment. I'll put a picture of their website up on the screen now if you want to go take a look. They have pretty decent prices on their Husqvarna axes, and they have really fast shipping. So So check them out. If you can't find it anywhere else and they have the best price, try ordering from them. I've had nothing but good experiences with them, and I think I've probably ordered about 7 or 8 Husqvarna carpenter's axes from them, and they've always come through and given me some pretty decent carpenter's axes. So come back for part 2. Watch me and Dave take this thing out and put it through its paces. We're going to test this thing out. We're going to test the handle. We're going to test the bit. We're going to test the head. See how well it's hasted. I'm going to throw this thing hard. I'm going to throw it for distance. I'm going to test everything on it. And I'm going to come back and give you guys an honest, no BS review. I will be honest with you up front and tell you that 2 things I'm going to do before I even throw it. I'm going to go ahead and shave this down a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and reprofile the bit and shave the cheeks down, because I already know that these 2 things are going to be an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before I throw it. But come back and watch me toss this thing hard. Me and Dave are going to have a good time with it. I'm thinking this thing's going to throw well, but you'll have to come back and watch. So thanks for your time. Thanks for everything everybody does to make this channel what it is. But until next time, guys, see ya. Hydropower was required in the manufacturing process. Process, Dave. It's not process, it's process.